Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey! Hey! Hey!
It's Sports Channel 8, the streaming show. Coming at you on YouTube, Facebook, and our favorite platform, Twitter, because we got our old account back. Follow us at Sports Channel 8. But you can comment and follow along on YouTube and Facebook. We will hit those comments. It's some of the best part about our show. Sports Channel 8, the streaming, also drops as a podcast after this. Find it wherever you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Google, all those other places. And the streaming show is brought to you by Movement Mortgage. They got the best rates in town. They make it easy. Go see our boy Josh Goodson. He does all of Sports Channel 8's mortgage, except mine. I do somebody else at Movement. So we all use Movement Mortgage. Go see Josh Goodson.
Make sure you make your mortgage payment at least 6 times. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Make sure he gets his and you'll get yours. Joining us are the Metro Division's #1 fan after they dominated at the All-Star game, our man Ben Swain. And, of course, just didn't try hard, Josh Goodson. We're going to talk mostly Pro Bowl and NHL All-Star game, guys. Unfortunately, the Duke-UNC game was Saturday. So in the sports news cycle, we got to keep it moving. Look ahead to Duke, Virginia tonight, Swain. Yeah. I want to talk a lot about that.
I'm with you on that.
I do hate that they've moved that game off of the Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the best part about that midseason Duke Carolina game is going to work or school the next day.
Yep.
Being able to see.
Day of and the next day, I think.
Yeah.
Like day of for the anticipation and the day after. Yes, that sucks. But let's start here, and I'm sure it might be Duke-UNC related, but let's find out what everybody learned this weekend. I don't know. We could even throw a sounder on that. I'll have a good one next. Nah, never mind.
I like that the Sounders are completely unrelated, so just pick one and go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Oh, no. That.
Oh, he a cat boy.
All right, what do we there we go. Metro Division #1 fan. What did you that's if you're a UNC fan, that music works. What did you learn this weekend, Ben Swain?
I learned that if you need a target shot out of a hockey goal, pick someone from the Hurricanes to shoot it because back-to-back accuracy challenge champions, Sebastian Aho, Jacob Slavin. Aho went 4 for 4, which probably the most impressive part about that is he actually got a favorable call from the referee who gave him the goal when he nicked the third target on his 4 for 4 conquest. But they robbed him of like a second and a half because of that. So he won the event, but his time was like a second and a half longer than it should have been.
All right, strategic play by you. I see you there. You knew we were going to talk Duke-UNC so you could get all your wisecracks in then, and wisely used what I learned this weekend to talk NHL All-Star, which I may have not gotten to by talking too much. So smartly done by you on what you learned this weekend. Did Rod Brindamore get fined for anything?
No, not yet.
All right, good. Yeah. That's good.
When did the Canes play again?
Tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, tonight. They're at Toronto Maple Leafs tonight.
Okay.
Let's go. Freddie Anderson should be pumped. And then Josh Goodson representing Movement Mortgage and the Just Didn't Try Hard team. What did you learn this weekend? I know there's a lot of things. What did you learn this weekend?
I learned that while Brady Manick probably was the best Tar Heel on the court the other night, he's actually going to be suspended from the team indefinitely and probably kicked off the team for some of the comments he made after the game.
Just unacceptable stuff.
Once again, I requested if you send me, hey, go grab Brady Manick's comments, I might have done it. What specifically did he say?
This is, and I quote Brady Manick after the game. We fought hard in the first half.
Yeah.
It was a long and hard game. We played the best we could, didn't come out on top. And here's the thing that's just going to rub UNC people the wrong way. We definitely played hard.
Yeah.
Which is tough because if you talk to anyone else from UNC, Leaky Black, I know, had some comments after the game that basically said, we didn't play hard.
Well,
And so if you talk to Leaky Black, if you talk to UNC fans, UNC media, again, like every time UNC loses, it was 100% effort and 100% them not trying hard and had zero to do with maybe, I don't know, the other team just beating the hell out of them for 40 minutes.
Shout out Brady Manick for well, I learned from this isn't what I learned this weekend, but since you're speaking of comments, it was a little unfair. You know, sometimes teams are playing like, oh, it's hard playing 8-on-5, you know, going against the refs. It was a little unfair that UNC had to play 5-on-5 because they couldn't have two Leaky Blacks on the court. Leaky Black is supposed to be able to guard Banchero and AJ Griffin, and if he could, it would have been shut down. Hubert Davis said can't split him in half. UNC could only play 5 dudes. There's only one Leaky Black. Unfair. But no, what I actually learned this weekend is, and I got photo evidence of this right here. I learned that Josh Goodson is soft, okay? Here's us at the game. That's me in the tan jacket, Josh Goodson. My wife,
you need to point us out.
You need circles or something here.
You can't see the circles on the screen? All right.
No.
Ah, shoot. All right. Why can't I do it? They're on my screen.
Are you the guy in the light blue pullover?
No. Let's see if I can zoom in.
Are you the guy in the button down?
Okay.
No, I'm in the – hold on. Dang it. I can't see.
I see us. We're at the top right. Yep, I see us.
We're at the top right. I'm in the tan jacket. Mary Aiken is in the UNC jacket in the very top right. And just below us, in a white shirt, long sleeve, in a white mask, looking very concerned, is Goodson's boy, Adam Lucas. And now when we sat close to like Dallas Woodhouse, we heckled that guy the whole game because I don't care what party you're part of. Dallas Woodhouse is a clown. He deserves it. Goodson didn't say anything. I even did. Lucas came back. Of course, this is a classic move. Halftime stat sheets to pass out to everybody because you're big time because you can get staff sheets. And I was like, Goodson, all you got to do is step out there and ask for some halftime box, and he will be like, oh, yeah, I'll get you one. And I can get a picture of you getting it from Lucas. He refused. He wouldn't go anywhere near him. So for all his tough talk, Goodson didn't have anything when he could come face-to-face with Lucas. He didn't do it. So I learned that Goodson is soft.
No, that's his boy. He used to have him when Goodson produced the morning show for who was it? Maniscalco and
Mark Thomas.
He used to have Adam Lucas on there all the time. It's his boy.
All right. Is there anything to talk about the game? What do you guys want? What do you guys want to talk about?
I'll say this: if we're talking about the game and it has literally, there's no reason to talk about UNC because the game was 100% because Duke was really good, is really good. End of story. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to say about it from a state fan's point of view being at the Duke-UNC game.
We don't get to bring up the star team's player getting 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes because I know that's what we'd be talking about if it was the other team. I'm just saying.
I don't think it would have mattered.
It would not have. It might have. I mean, it might have not been 28 points. The other thing was, all right, Goodson. Will you feel me on this, Goodson?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that much. But it was a good crowd. The crowd was so good that they were like ready.
They were there to see Duke.
They were ready to go on any run. And
it was. I've never seen it packed inside like that, trying to get to your seat, and not even like
move.
It was.
It was what that building was built for. Just a temple to basketball. It felt like
that's a typical Duke road game. That's what happens, man. Like you watch Boston College, they'll pack.
No, Duke playing Duke in K's last game. Yes.
And if UNC, I mean, could have gotten they even gave the crowd the teaser of cutting it to 11.5 when every single person in the crowd had 1 point next to them said, I mean, if they get it under 10.5, that'll feel like a victory, right? They were all sitting there. Of course, it was 11. So you're like, it's still double digits. And then,
I've never seen more like get one stop to cut it to 19 and everybody just get up
let's go. Like they were ready.
As if they were like, you know what? We get one more stop, we're right back in it. They're like, no, you need like 7 more stops now to get back in it. Like,
it was nuts.
Do you want me to talk about what happened in the last 8 minutes since you left early?
Yeah, no, but I tried to leave early. I got shamed into staying. Goodson would back me up. I was like, dude, I had seen enough, right? Like they.
And can we not talk about how the Deemdome itself and just UNC sporting events in general from a traffic perspective, of any place in the Triangle, it is if you stay till the end and you leave when everyone else leaves, you are making your trip home 3 times longer than if you leave early.
If you'd waited until the end, you'd have a pretty clear pathway on Saturday. The best joke I saw about that was one of the radio guys in Charlotte said something about that the fans were excited to get out and test out the new Roy Williams Highway.
Yeah, it was Nick
after halftime.
Nick Wilson. Oops, sorry. Just giving you the fight song there.
No, the crowd was good, but again, that's a Duke road game, right? Like, and that's what UNC has fallen to, is the only game that's going to be like that all year is the Duke game. And goes back to what I said last week, is that they're there to see Duke. They're not there to see Carolina.
That's right. We have Duke to thank for that crappy traffic. Good call, Jake. And honestly, it did remind me a little bit of the difference between the ACC tournament in the 80s and 90s and the ACC tournament now, like UNC game. Like, it used to be every UNC home game was not quite like that, but like more of them than not it felt special just to be in the arena, to be there. And it was mostly full and it was crowded, but that was like part of the charm. And like, you listened to the radio there and back, and it just, and so when you saw that game, I was like, oh, it reminds me of the few times, like if we get a Duke-UNC final in Greensboro, it will be like that in the AC tournament. But for 90% of the games in the AC tournament, it's not. And it used to be 90% of the games it was like it was UNC. I agree with you on that. All right, indulge me with one video that I know you're going to hate me on, but I want to give another perspective, and then I've got a video that Swain just pointed out right before the show. All right, for all the FUK chant people, we need to remember that the media are rightfully given shitty seats right in the middle of the shitty student section seats. So, like, of course they're going to hear the overwhelming chant that the students hear, but this is what it sounded like if you weren't right in the student section. Hold on, I got this. This is why I need a producer. It's right here. All right. Here's what it sounded like. Oh, there's Adam Lucas right in the. Listen, I'll even turn it up. Just pointing out, if you weren't sitting in the middle of the student section, there was not a resounding chant of FUK. Goodson and I can debate how many people were also booing Roy Cooper, which was the other much talked about thing. But I like Goodson's not even paying attention.
No, I mean, they were definitely booing Roy Cooper. What are you talking about?
Just not overwhelmingly so. All right. All right, this was funny. I saw Moose pick up. You want to narrate this while I cue out the video here, Swain?
Yeah, we were talking about this before. How much would you pay as a fan to buy a ticket that you knew was right beside the court microphone where they could pick up everything you were yelling? You would definitely pay a premium for that seat.
It'd be the next best thing. When you can sit where the players can actually hear you, that is awesome, right? After that, sitting by the TV mic, I think would be the next best thing.
So we had a situation. This was in the second half when, again, Carolina cut the lead to 11 at half. They went on an incredible run to cut the lead to 11. Second half started, and no, this was first half, right? No,
I think it's second half because I think they're in the zone defense.
So this is the second half, and Duke came out, and AJ Griffin went on a personal 10-0 run, and then after that, UNC switched to zone because they couldn't guard everybody. And then when they switched to zone, it ended up being they guarded nobody, because the picture that, if you're watching this on the live screen, the picture you're seeing right now is Paolo Banchero on the ACC logo in the middle of the paint with nobody within 5 feet of him, and he just catches an uncontested pass, turns around and scores. And you can hear this guy on the TV just expressing his displeasure with it.
You hear this voice, and you can picture the quintessential UNC fan. Here it is.
Going against each other.
Come on, I'll give it to you again. Come on, Hubert, God Almighty.
Going against each other.
It's right in the middle. Woo. So yes, the UNC fans not happy with the result there, and not happy with Hubert. But there we go. Anything else on the game you guys wanted to discuss? I was trying to think if there was anything about our visit. Cooper getting booed.
I was
It's lit up.
20,000 people. Was it 20,000 people booing? No, but if we had to do the numbers game, and I think you had said like maybe 1,000 people booed. Well, 0 people cheered.
That was,
Like, I mean, that it's not like there was just like cheers everywhere. It was just funny because, like, obviously, whenever you go to Chapel Hill, we're trained to think that, blue county, liberal county, votes one way all the time and such. And so when the Democratic governor shows up, there were audible boos that you could hear. I mean, there wasn't people cheering or anything like that. So,
all right.
Nothing crazy from the trip. I mean, Carolina in, a lot of COVID there.
I do have to talk about this. I was so disappointed that they never showed Permar on the TV, because the producer in the truck was in his bag, how you say, because every opportunity to show a dejected UNC fan, he was on it. And they're like at least 8 screenshots from the game that is just each one better than the next. And I kept waiting for them to show Permar, which would have been absolutely classic. But yeah, I guess that's why he left early.
I was already out at that point. We really did. We with like the part of this is like the people that were with Josh and I, who happen to be our wives, don't follow basketball quite as closely. So the understanding of how the timeout scheme works, and like, this is going to be a dramatic time that we're going to sit through with nothing happening just to maybe get a couple more minutes. It's like it's like playing any chance game, like a risk game, right? The value in leaving now was high, right? And so yes, at the 8-minute, there may have even been free throws at the 8:15 mark where it was like, oh, we can really get a jump if we leave right here. But I believe we ended up staying to the under 4-minute mark and left with the healthy majority.
We left before the under 4. I do know that.
Okay,
we got out before that.
It was close to it.
But you did not stick around to hit Savarino with the DUI chant with 30 seconds left, down by 20, which is unreal that fans did that.
Why, at that point, why are you chanting? Like, you got to shut up.
There was like one UNC bro who sat behind the Duke bench, like very close, and he was definitely having fun, shouting stuff. But he was also kind of like the every time UNC scored, his seat was on the aisle where the stairs were. So every time UNC scored, it was always this. Do this and then run up the stairs and back down looking for high fives and such. And that guy was he was the guy that we would always look at, like when they cut it from like 19 to 17.
Yeah.
So he did that like 6 times in the first half.
So that was the coked out former frat guy. Yeah. And that guy was on one, and he was like,
that guy, because there is a video of the Duke bench waving goodbye to somebody.
Oh, very possibly.
Okay.
Very possibly. They caught he probably caught their eye at one point. But if we're going to point out bad fans, can I talk about the guy? I'm always one. I mean, Goodson's not afraid to go into a visiting arena with supporting his team, right? Now, I'm glad he didn't go in like an all-red NC State pullover for the Duke-UNC game.
No,
but
you should have.
But I wouldn't have put it past him, or a Russell Wilson jersey, right? But like that to me, that's just not. I don't even wear like logo gear for the team that I'm. I guess Hurricanes I do, but like I don't think I would do that for a Panthers game. Whatever. So, dude across the aisle from us, and is also on the aisle. Not only is he wearing the like Reddick jersey, and it's fine, whatever, but like every single hand motion, like the game was just like it was like he was at the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he was just a crowd participant. Like from when Kay came in. He was doing this to like every three. He had, a different one depending on who it was. He knew everybody's dap. It was just, a little much. If we're calling out fans. All right.
Was he from England?
he was not.
I can't imagine anything crazier than if somebody was at that game, but like came from a faraway place.
I followed that guy because I thought his story was cool. I had to.
Yeah, he sucks on Twitter. Like
he is a fraud.
Might be the worst person at Twitter that I've ever seen, and like that includes a lot of people that we know are god awful. So yeah, that guy enjoyed his 5 minutes, and we spent some time trying to cancel this dude on Twitter, right? Like we were searching through his Twitter, knowing he's from England, we were very much hoping he was a cigarette smoker and like to tweet about that, but no luck there. Although we did find something interesting, right? We
What's
found
that?
out that he was tweeting about the debates for the American presidency.
Oh yeah.
It had 0 tweets about Brexit. So is this guy even British?
Maybe foreign policy, much like foreign sports, is just his thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna find this guy, and we are absolutely going to.
Yes, Thomas. Yes.
All right. One thing that everyone can agree on that was awesome this weekend. By the way, we're not even going to mention Tom Hoagie won the AT&T. He's from Statesville, North Carolina.
Wait, we're done with Duke-UNC? That's
what?
it?
Yeah, I called for.
UNC's going to make
like 15 minutes of this, dude. If Carolina had won,
22 minutes. What else do you want to talk, Duke-UNC? I played your videos.
Is UNC going to make the tournament?
That's going to be the talk for the next little bit. I don't know.
I think they will be an inner, like most times when it comes down to is a team going to make or miss, like it's pretty easy, but they are going to have one of the more fascinating 24-7. Like that number will be like their record, right? And that's a good number. That's a big number. 24-7. If you finish if you're 24-7 every year, you're like, oh, I'm a tourney team. But they're going to literally be like 0-7 against teams who've made the tournament, and probably 0 and getting crushed in those games too. So it'll be interesting.
Do they want to make the tournament? That's a better question right there. Because
you notice the trend. A lot of times UNC and Duke will win NCAA tournaments one after the other. And so with Duke missing the tournament, maybe it's last year. Maybe it's like fitting with that trend.
Because they were going to win the ACC tournament.
UNC is going to follow them by. I mean, you much like 2 years ago, UNC might make a run in the ACC tournament this year.
I did see. Speaking of COVID, I did see something funny. Of course, I have to go read Inside Carolina after the game, right?
Yeah, you're a state fan. You're a state
fan. Inside Carolina, I learned that the quote unquote COVID season was the Cole Anthony year, where they didn't play a single game that year under any kind of COVID cancellations, right? They lost the last game of the year.
Still tough.
And everything else was canceled after that. But that's the COVID year, was the year that Cole Anthony played, which is unreal to me.
They didn't miss the tournament. That's all I remember. They did not miss the tournament. Did you read Adam Lucas after the game, Josh Goodson?
I did not. I've not done that yet.
Goodson, since you wouldn't talk to his face?
No.
Have you texted Adam Lucas to read it to you? That's what I would do. If we can get him on this show to read us his column live, that would be incredible.
I bet he'd be a good enough sport. I bet that'll be a goal of this podcast for him to read an Adam Lucas podcast. It's got to be a column a day after a loss, right?
Right.
He's
Yeah.
got to come on here a day after a loss. And,
Yeah. What was it? So was he media / employee, like arms crossed when Duke came out, or was he on the boo side, or was he on the F Coach K side?
I think it was arms crossed. I think
Arms
I actually legitimately have him in the bottom of the video coming in there, and he's just sort of watching the scene.
Well, yeah, you get to a point where you're like too important to get involved in any of the stuff going on around you.
Making the mental notes.
So I do want to point out, like, the chant. There were plenty of UNC fans who were not happy about that as well. It's a bad look, right? Like it's a Maryland fan thing to do. Total insecurity, total inferiority complex. If you're going to that route, it's not just the students. You saw the adults throwing the double middle fingers to K on the way out, which is kind of funny. But no, it's not everyone, right? Like, let's not paint UNC fans with that broad brush. There were plenty that were upset about that. Permar not being one of those. But
I was just mad that I missed that the chant was going on because I didn't get a chance to jump in. That's all. Goodson, anything?
You've gone well before K left the court too. So
anything else? Duke at Virginia tonight. You're not worried about that game, right?
It's at Cameron, isn't it?
Swain?
Yeah. Am I worried about that game?
Where is it? First of all,
it's at Cameron.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was at Virginia.
You want to do 4 straight road games?
I will say, as an outside observer, watching Duke games this year, they had never, in my eyes, felt like they were like scary. I call it scary Duke.
Right.
Like, I mean, they've been good. Like they've won games, but there's nothing. It didn't feel like they had that extra gear where if they play their best, we hadn't seen that where no one's going to touch them. Even if UNC plays well, they're probably not beating them the other night. And like I think that actually came out this week. Was it just a one-time thing because they're playing UNC? They want to do it for K, maybe, but it at least felt. I thought Duke looked as good and looked scary and like, oh, they can make a Final Four if they play like that. I don't know. Am I wrong on that, Swain? You've seen them more than me.
No, our guy Zion, who's watching the show right now, calls it the scary hours, which is no. It was one of the, like, we haven't seen the window more that we saw at the beginning of the year since Duke went on that COVID pause, and I don't like it. Broke up the momentum a little bit. I'm not blaming it on the illness or whatever, but it broke up his rhythm, and he hadn't been on top of his game, and he played a really good game.
There were moments of that game where Duke had guys that, like, they switched the role of who's going to be the best player in the court right now. Paolo, Griffin, Wendell Moore. No, you're right on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it honestly just depended on and look, like, Leaky Black is a good defender. It's not clowning him at all to say that but he's a better defender than Caleb Love and Brady Manick and Armando Bacot. And, like, that's what it comes down to. And so, like, for a long period of that time, we'll say that Leaky Black shut down Banchero. Banchero wasn't scoring during that long stretch of time because AJ Griffin scored whatever he wanted to score against Brady Manick, or, dumping it down low to Mark Williams. It was one of those games where everyone played pretty well at the same time. I think, AJ Griffin obviously had an elite game. I think Banchero was good, but not great. Mark Williams had a good game, but it was one of those rare times where everyone has played pretty well at the same time. And so we'll see if they can keep that up. I think, short turnarounds against, it's still Virginia, right? Like, they're still going to play defense. And so Duke's got to score points tonight, but I think they'll be fine.
Is that 30 minutes good, Goodson? Any more Duke-UNC? What else you got? Anything else? One thing we can all be happy about is our man getting it done in the Saudi Invitational. Yeah, that's right. That's Harold Varner III, ECU. Man, eager to win the tournament. And I don't have video of this, but probably that. So he's off the green. You have that right, Goodson?
Yeah. He's off the green, so it counts as a chip. Doesn't hurt the putting stats at all.
Yeah, off the green, decides to putt, needs a birdie to tie and send it to a playoff, which he's feeling pretty good about. Like, obviously, he's got a pretty good read on this putt, regardless of whether or not it goes in. But instead, he goes ahead. I think he's wearing Jordan 12s. Somebody could correct me if they know better than I do. Instead, he sinks it. Not a PGA Tour win, technically, but his second win overall that he won a few years ago. And I think pushes him into the top 50, which, if that holds, gets him into the Masters, which he's never played.
I think you have to be top 50. It's not like the week before that there is a cutoff, but also the thing to remember with the official World Golf Rankings too is it's a revolving ranking type system. So something you did, if he had a last place finish 2 years ago, that would come off next week, and so this win will carry weight and stuff. So it's like just make a few cuts. Don't just like go off the deep end. Right. I think he's 45 going into this week, but no, pretty cool. And I appreciate a guy who putts from the fairway.
That's the big part.
So, Goodson, can you just like not play anymore? Like if you've got a tournament coming up that's a handicap event and you've got like that 93 is about to fall off your handicap, you don't want to play another round because you want that 93 on your handicap going into that tournament, and you just don't play for like a month. Is that how you play that ranking system in golf as well?
You'd have to look back and see how far his stuff goes. I think it's a 2-year revolving thing. So if he has some good scores on there, but he like has a few missed cuts on there too, it's probably playing. But he's in every tournament. Well, top 50 gets you basically in every tournament. Is what it.
Another cool thing, but again, I don't have video of this, but Bubba Watson came out there just running, who he would have been in a playoff with and conceivably could have won the tournament, but ran out there and just talked about how excited he was for Harold Varner. I don't know if any of y'all have seen, he's had a couple times where he's come close on PGA Tour, led after 3 rounds or whatever, or faltered down the end. He's had a couple bad finishes, to be honest. And they'll ask him about it, and they're like, man, is it tough coming this close and not winning? He's like, not at all, man. He doesn't come out and say, like, I made $1.5 million coming in second. He doesn't say that, but he's like, my life is very good. Like, I'm a professional golfer. Like, I want to win, but, like, it's really not eating me up inside. Like, there are a lot of people who are a lot worse off than I am. Just an amazing perspective about winning or losing a golf tournament. And it may be the difference of why he won't be an 8-time major winner, but also he seems like we wish for a lot of our athletes now, like a pretty well-balanced dude. And maybe that positivity and that balance itself will bring a stretch of his best golf. And, the good thing about golf is you can play to.
It's also a very ECU kind of like lifestyle too. Like, I don't care. Like,
but you guys lost the game. Like, yeah, but we had an awesome time. Like, this is amazing.
Tailgate was awesome.
I wish we had won, but we're still going out afterwards, and it's going to be great. Yes.
The one question I'd want to ask Varner right now is that the ball's sitting off the green. You need to get down in 2, right?
Right.
Are you thinking I'm going to putt this because I got a really good read and a chance to make it? Or are you thinking I'm not going to chip this because I'm going to scull it into the water?
100%.
Because all of us would be thinking the second one, right? Like, you putt out of fear. You don't
safety,
putt. I'm going to freaking make this thing.
The putt is safety. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if I were trying to make the putt, I would putt it off the green and into the water. I would with how much that thing broke. So the putt would have definitely been the safe play. I would have hung it far out to the right, knowing that it would have trickled back at least to within like 9 feet of the and then miss my next putt.
I also hate that Moose isn't on here because I would love to ask him how short he would leave that putt.
We played the river at Lake Royale, and there is a note that says they're like 3 putt max. I guess it's a good course, and especially in the summer, late fall, whatever, it's in good shape. But they try and make it a little too hard. There's one par 3 that's literally 200 yards when the tee box is long enough they could easily make it 175 yards. And it's like, come on, man. Why? Like the whites, we're playing the whites, and it was like 195 yards. And it was like, dude, just you have the room here. Not like the space, like literally in the tee box. They could have just moved everybody out.
You had to driver off the tee.
And so I did. I 100% did.
Yeah.
And then there's one green. There's a short par 4 that's like downhill and drivable. I landed like in a trap next to the green that if I hadn't hit the trap might have trickled on. But then you putt onto this thing and it just rolls past. So they literally told you if you putt uphill and it rolls back where you were, then you can mark at the high point of your ball. That's like a course rule. I said, well, maybe just don't make your greens that hard if that's got to be a course rule. But no, very cool to see Harold Varner doing good things.
I want to give some context behind my Moose joke there, because it's not just that he leaves putt short. It's when you play in a scramble, right? You have the guy that goes first on the green to give you the read.
Show you the line, right?
Like your only job is to get the ball
Give us an idea
through the hole so that the other three guys can see where the putt breaks. And if Moose is that first one up, he will putt it maybe halfway, and you have no idea what to do with the next putt. So that's exactly what I meant.
That's the best person to have in a scramble is a person who stinks but doesn't care, but actually has enough touch to be decent on the safety putts. You can make them feel useful. But sometimes that's me. All right. The Pro Bowl this weekend. I didn't watch a minute of it, but I did see this moment. And because he's a Pac Pro, I thought you guys might enjoy this interview with AJ.
Great first couple of quarters. Probably my favorite stat line I've ever had. Got 0 punts, 3 holds, 2 halftime hot dogs. So really enjoying the game so far. It's been a lot of fun watching everybody. And I'm just here for moral support, basically. Just passing out water and high fives, and I'm just here for the ride.
How did you get your uniform dirty? You haven't done anything.
I'm out there holding. That's pretty much the answer.
So that's where the grass stain came from. Did you get it?
Well, you got to kind of really rub it in a little bit. That way the other guys in the team know you really are out on the field. Because otherwise it kind of goes under the radar. So, I just want everybody to know, I was out on the field. I don't have a whole lot of proof of it, but I'm not in the stat sheet per se, but I was out there scrapping with everybody else.
Did you get a heads up before the game that, look, you're not going to get a whole lot of action this game?
I did. It's actually the first thing Coach Vrabel said to me. He said, just so you know, we're not going to punt this week, so don't get your hopes up. I said, telling me we're not going to punt is getting me my hopes up, so you just flip the script there.
Well, AJ, you made the Pro Bowl. Congratulations, darn it.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
That is Pac Pro AJ Cole, the punter for the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe, and a Pro Bowler where there isn't a lot of punting. I didn't see who won. Did you gamble on the Pro Bowl, Goodson?
No.
Whoops! Did I turn down? There we go. Yeah, you got to get a. You got to take the over in the Pro Bowl, whatever it is. Anything else you guys want to hit on? I'm trying to think if I had anything else.
Hey, Notre Dame.
Well, oh yeah. You really want to talk about that? Talk about how you skipped out on your team?
Yeah.
And didn't go to State Notre Dame?
It didn't look good. I watched 0 of it. And this week starts I don't think Keats is going to get fired, but if these 3 things happen, he's probably going to get fired. They host Wake Forest on Wednesday, and there's a difference in. I think they're now last in the ACC, and I think they're like 3-10 in the conference. I think he can finish 3-17 and still keep his job. So I do think that can happen. If you're 3-17 and maybe you lose to Wake by 15 this week at home, and then UNC comes in a couple weeks and you lose by 15, and then play at Wake. I don't know about y'all. I mean, I've never really liked we should keep a guy, but he has to do this next year for it to make sense to keep him this year, which you're like, well, what does that even mean?
Well, right.
Keep him because you want to keep him, and it shouldn't be as he's got to go. What does he have to do? If you don't go to the Sweet 16, which maybe that'd be actually kind of cool. Maybe if they wrote in his contract, we're going to keep you, but you have to make the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament, and if not, you're fired. That would be actually kind of cool to follow, but it's just silly how we say things like that, as if that you should keep him because of what he does next year.
Didn't Dave Doran survive on 3 of those conditionals? When Dave Doran kept multiple times, it was next year he better. It's all right.
You got to do A, B, and C.
Well, his was because it was kind of easy in the sense of he might get fired going into this North Carolina game at the end of but if he beats North Carolina, he should be okay.
No.
I mean, it was never explicitly said by the AD, but I don't know.
I think the big thing when you're talking about firing a coach is you got to see are the players still competing for that coach, right? And I know we make fun of effort all the time. We make fun of that as an excuse for losing, but you get to a point where the players just don't work for that coach, and then that's when you absolutely have to make a change. I don't see that with State, right? Like
they've had that one game, and it just happened to be at UNC. It's like the worst time for them to have that instance. It's like, oh, you try hard for them every game, but you don't try hard for them against your hated rival, whatever. So maybe it was an outlier.
I do like, and we talked about this a little bit on Saturday. It's weird that you see a team getting blown out, they come back and take the lead, and then they end up getting blown out anyway. That's a weird game flow to me, right? Like, would you rather, would you rather that happen to your team, or would you rather Permar, like your team, just got blown out from start to finish? Would you rather that happen?
Not
and
really.
I just want Permar to specifically talk about it.
I know. I caught it. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Did you play the Bizdelic game of what if you took away the first like 8 minutes?
I did. No, I don't even think you have to go. Yeah. From the last 30 minutes, UNC won the game by about 3 points. They were down 23. They were down 31-8. I think 10 minutes into the game, and then they lost by 20. So like,
I think they finished on like
played better for a longer period of time than Duke
for
did.
30 minutes. For 30 minutes, they beat Duke, and I think they got to take that into Cameron. It was funny. I don't even remember a thing about either of the two Duke-UNC games last year. Can't conjure a single play in my mind. I know Love must have played well because I've seen like tweets about him tweeting after the game. I mean, him posting after the games last year, the stuff that then was getting thrown in his face. But that's what made me. I was like, man, I guess Love did have a good game, but I don't remember a single minute of any of those games.
Yeah, and I need to know if he deleted that post before Theo John hit him with the reply or after. Yeah. Also, Theo John wasn't even here last year. Like that's the guy that's going to come. Yeah.
In my mind, you always leave those up. If you posted it after a win, if somebody goes and reprises it later, that's fine. That's you won that time. But like you're still followed it. You don't post that after a loss or whatever. Like we talked about the fans who are like, no, you have to shut up now, right? Like you don't get to make the Instagram post now. But like, there's no shame in you leaving up the post that then somebody else reprised.
And speaking of that, the big thing going into the game was that Banchero allegedly said that UNC was soft as shit, and Baycott responded to that tweet that somebody put out about it with bet. Who won that battle? Because I thought Baycott was soft as shit.
When he drew the second foul, like Paolo immediately turned around and was flashing.
No, dude, did you see that on TV? I mean,
no, I did not see it on TV.
It was before the whistle started blowing. It must have been just like the sight line we had looking the way we're looking at that play. Yeah. But it was like, and like he goes two. The first I thought it was like peace, and it was like, no, that's 2 fouls. And it was immediate.
To which invoked the if you have 2 fouls in the first half, you immediately have to come off the court. Type deal.
Right.
Obviously.
Shout out, Aha Romobo to
a pack.
I thought we decided that
that's Svechnikov.
Russian bots are Svech. Yeah.
He also thinks Baycott's.
Were y'all? So I don't know. I walked away with this. Is anyone worried Duke-UNC is going to lose its Duke-UNC-ness when K's gone? Like, I think it made it a big deal. I think it, to your point, Swain, the Smith Center hasn't been like that in years, in a long time. And it was like that because it was Duke, but also like, I think because it was K's last ride at Duke.
But was it not like that the Trey Jones missed free throw year was – because I remember that year was UNC was not having a good season, and the one thing that was going to validate their year was that they were going to win that game. And I remember everyone talking about how great the Dean Dome was. That I just think the Dean Dome gets up for that game again, just like.
Well, and I think there's also
Boston College,
and I think there's also a lot of UNC fans aren't super happy with like the Hubert experiment either. So it's kind of like two things are happening at the same time. It's like not only. We lost to Duke by 20, and it's K's last ride. So but we don't really like what's going on either type deal. I don't know. We won't know that answer till K's gone, and it's
Right.
Shire versus Hubert. Everybody said it before, like K made that rivalry and Dean made that rivalry, right? What it is, and it just happened that Roy came in at a good time to keep it a big deal, and they both had really good teams. And I don't think anyone's sitting here in the middle of year one of Hubert thinking he's going to do what Roy, just kind of keep doing what Roy did. And then K's going to be gone at the same time. So I don't know.
Right.
Matt Doherty wants some respect on his name. I mean, he called cheerleaders ugly and tried to fight an assistant coach. Like he did his part in a short time to try and make the rivalry. But I do think it's interesting. I mean, for UNC, it's like you just got to be good again. Like whether or not you decide to go down the path of like Kentucky and Duke and really being NBA program, like they've seen a hesitancy to do that, right? Like they don't seem like they think that they want to do it that way. I know they got a bunch of one and dones, but like I think they could be cooler. Like you could be cooler in today's culture marketing yourself that way. Even if they have one and dones, if for some reason they don't market themselves that way, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think it comes down to being good, because Carolina's been good, right? Like they've been to Final Fours, they've won national championships, they've been good. What they haven't been is they haven't been cool. And like that's when we were all growing up, Carolina was cool as shit, right?
Sure.
Like that was the cool program. And then Duke was like the Greg Paulus like bunch of nerds, right?
Right.
That has switched really with like Kyrie Irving coming in. Since then, Duke has been the cool program, and UNC has not dealt with that very well at all.
But go ahead.
No, I think the rivalry is exactly what, and I can't remember which player said it, but they said a win against Duke would like validate their team. That's the rivalry, right? Like Carolina needs to beat Duke to validate whatever they have going on, and as long as that exists, the rivalry is fine.
But to your point, like I said, in the 90s, UNC was, especially with like the Vince Twan, whatever, UNC was cool. But by being good, it didn't matter how you did it. If Duke was good, that mattered. Now, I'm with you that UNC, you'd rather be like the cooler program, right? But like the rivalry was good under Roy Williams because they were winning and they were good. They like both teams had aspirations higher than the rivalry, so it didn't just validate the season. But I don't think – I would like for UNC to be cool. I'd like the Vince and Twan, but I don't think they necessarily have to be. Now, maybe you have to be if they're going to be as good as they need to be, right? Maybe you need to be cooler, right? But ultimately, if you're going to national title games with Marcus Page instead of Kyrie Irving, I still think that the rivalry is fine, right? As long as they're both competing for national titles. And what I just think, even when Roy was down, you felt it promised that if Roy was going to keep coaching, they were going to be back to the Final Fours. Now that's not promised. And that's what I mean. Like all he needs, he can go with a bunch of nerds, but if he goes to a Final Four, then it's like, all right, we're good. We're going to keep doing the nerd thing.
And you did see that with Roy. Like it's almost surprising. Look back at how many double-digit loss seasons Roy had. He had a lot, right? Like he lost a lot of years that the team was not great, and then would have, a Final Four in the national championship, right? And so you always have that kind of one thing to hang on to. And I think you're right. Like, do you feel that same level of confidence with Hubert that he's going to show up 3 years from now and be in the Final Four?
Definitely open that he could and willing to give him that chance. But no, right now you can't say I'm positive. I think people are being way too quick to be anti him, but like you certainly can't be like, feel good right now,
And if you're thinking about like, okay, Hubert's not the guy, we need to fire Hubert, you need to fire Bubba Cunningham before you fire Hubert, right? Like if there's any situation where you're talking about firing a head coach after a year, that's not on the head coach, that's on the athletic director.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and I'm not going to get into the semantics of all of that, but you know what UNC fans, their second favorite program is right now. All UNC fans. Who's your second favorite program?
Wes Miller,
Cincinnati, right? Because if Cincinnati is good for 3 years, it feels like you've got the safety net. That's so your second favorite.
We let they'll basically claim that we let Wes go to Cincinnati
100%.
do well, and now he knows it's time for bigger and better, and we're here to accept that.
Hubert Guthridge, yeah. If it goes bad, I don't want it to, and I'm just saying, like that will be
I wanted to go bad.
That'll be the script. If
I would like to see it go bad,
and especially so if Cincinnati plays well.
Yeah, that brings up a whole nother conversation about like there is a big difference between Guthridge and Hubert.
100%.
We talked about this with the NFL. Like too often, coaches like Hubert Davis, and we all know what I'm saying here, are set up for those positions to be the guy that fails, so that somebody can come in after them. Like that's the chance they get, and that's not cool.
Or like bringing in a black coach while your school is under NCAA investigation, and then firing him right as soon as it's over. Would that fit in that category too?
Yeah.
So that's not to indict everyone who made those hires and say that's 100% your intention, but over the course of sports history, when that is a pattern, then that's just a thing that needs to be discussed.
And especially on the heels of the convenient scapegoat of the whole academic thing being the AFAM department. It's a lot of bad stuff there.
And Sylvia Hatchell. We got to get the requisite Sylvia Hatchell mention in the show. Anything else? We can dissect the Shire regime next year. I think the most interesting thing.
You think she's bad for several reasons, that there will never be a Sylvia Hatchell highway. Like for many different reasons, there will never be one.
I think the most interesting question about the transition for Duke is what does K's role look like next year? He's not going to do the Roy thing and sit in the stands, but he's not going to be on the bench, right? Right?
And there's not like there's not a place in Cameron that you can hide, right? Like there's no separate place in Cameron. So like his family's got the seats above the brass bar, like on the visiting bench side. So maybe that's where he sits.
Does he go to every game?
But I don't see him. I definitely don't see him behind the bench. I think that would be way too much of a distraction. But he's going to be around and involved and serve in some kind of consultant's role. But you watch this season, a lot of what happens during timeouts is Shire, and so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how much changes there, right? Like I do think, especially giving him the job before this season begins, you have that year of grooming, but I think that grooming had already taken place where, they're prepping him for that. But yeah, I definitely don't think he's behind the bench. He's probably, up in the stands. And
what if he takes over being the NIL person for Duke basketball?
Well, no, I do think he's
being the sugar daddy. Being
the sugar daddy. No, I mean, he will absolutely serve in some kind of official capacity for Duke.
Yeah.
And he did. I will throw this out. I can't believe nobody else picked up on this, because if you want to take shots at K, this would be a great opportunity to do it. How many times before the game did he mention Dean Smith and
not mention Roy?
Something about like it's fitting that his name is on the building. Like, does he want Cameron to be like Krzyzewski Arena? Like, is he angling for that? We're not good enough with Coach K Court. We want the building to be named after him.
I hate courts in general, and I hated when Duke succumbed to it, and I hated when Dean succumbed to it. It was like those places. It was like it's Cameron, and like the court feels beneath K, and it feels beneath Roy. Like now you don't get the name Cameron, and you don't get the name Dean. You're not getting your name on that. Now we might be able to do a new. I mean, Krzyzewski's obviously the family name is on a lot of great things, but like. And maybe at some point these buildings get thrown down and the next one is named after you. But like to me, Court felt like that's like Mayheim is a territory. That's not how we do it here. But I didn't like it for either side. Good stuff. Anything else from the weekend we learned? Need to figure out a better way to wrap up stuff. I was actually just dilly-dallying, hoping that the Moose might show up at some point. Check out. Maybe
everybody left in the under 4 and saying how you're watching right now.
Nah, we We have been having great crowds on these. We still got a lot of folks watching. Thanks to Zion, Jake, James, that's Austin, James Austin. What's up, my man? Austin Thomas, Jake, John, JP Monday. What's up, dude? Thanks for everybody who jumped in on the comments. Bob Marshall, what's up? Remember, you can download the podcast. It drops about an hour after the show ends. Watch us live. Mash the subscribe button while you're here. Hit up Josh Goodson for your mortgage. Happy Chinese New Year. A couple weeks.
Cat boy.
You want? I don't have the cat boy audio ready.
Oh, he a cat boy.
There it is. All right, Sports Channel 8, Duke-UNC wrap-up edition. Yeah.
Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey! Hey! Hey!